All right,
LJ, it's time, bro.
all right. Can everybody make sure they mute themselves? We let's go ahead and get started. All right. Um.
Okay.
So yeah. So me and Sahil, gonna do a little introduction. So I know my
LJ.
yeah. What's up? Oh, oh, my bad. Didn't realize I was muted. But yeah, we're gonna. Yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get started. All right. Um. Me and Sahil will introduce ourselves. We'll be, like the instructors or whatnot for this, Solidity 14-day crash course. So I know, as you can see, my username is LJ Cuts. Emmanuel, can you please mute yourself? Uh, but yeah, my username is LJ Cuts, but my real name is Larry. I have been coding for the past 9 to 10 months. Been introduced to Solidity for that time, and yeah, happy to try and teach this to you guys. Um, Sahil, will you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah. So first of all, I want to thank every one of you to join this session, and I also want to thank Abbas for joining. He is one of the modes of LW3, and he will be moderating these sessions. And he has helped a lot while organizing these sessions. And I want to thank the LW3 team for giving me us this opportunity to teach here. Yeah, I am Sahil, and I have been a Web2 developer for the past 2 years. I'm familiar with Python, JavaScript, Next.js, React. Uh, Recently, I started with the Web3 development, and I stumbled upon this amazing community, the LW3 community, and it's so great. The community is so great, and I just joined this community last month, and I never expected, but here we are teaching the Solidity sessions. So grateful for that. LJ, I think you should go ahead and start the session now.
All right, cool. Um,
Um,
yeah,
Deepak, can you please mute?
yeah. Can everybody please mute themselves? All
Yeah,
right.
if you have questions, just you can stop us. But other than that, please keep it muted because it kind of sometimes there's echo and stuff. So
Yeah. So
LJ, you can.
once again, this is a crash course. You could go to the programming channel or like the Twitter page of Learn Web3 Dell to look at the days, the days of what we will be going over. Um, First I want to start off with, like this programming language, Solidity, right? Solidity is a high level language, object oriented, statically typed. Um, so I want to try, give out a context of why Solidity exists, right? Um, so as we know, like in the real world, you mess with cash and, you try to make promises with other people in real life, right? Um, Say like a company like McDonald's, right? They have this, little game or little they incentivize something, right? Say they, like they want you to like collect these cards or something, right? Like maybe they have a collection and they'll promise you, I don't know, like $1,000, right? If you, try to if you obtain this collection. And sometimes what happens in the real world is that people they make these promises, they say they're gonna do this and that, but sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes they don't keep their promises. You have something like Solidity where you have to keep that promise, where the code is law, right? Um, And the thing that's so revolutionary about Solidity, Solidity is literally the first language that you can program money. Very revolutionary, very game changing in my opinion. You have something, you kind of have something like JavaScript, right? Very high, very popular high programming language where, um, you might integrate something like Stripe, right? To, enable um, payments, right? Um, but JavaScript is using something third party ish. It's relying on something else to enable money or payments. Solidity, there's literally money built into it, you know, into the blockchain. And of course, with this course, we will, be messing around with Ethereum. Don't want to keep things too complex or anything like that. Also, keep in mind for this crash course, right? Um, we want to at the start we want to make things as basic as possible from the start. Um, we want to keep in mind that there could be
Did we
people
lose?
in here that you know have never coded ever in their lives. So we want to have keep things as basic as possible, and we will increase the difficulty as this crash course goes. And once again, this is an introductory day. Nothing too complicated. All right. So let's get into remix, right? So
Also, I just want to mention that the structure is like one day there's gonna be concepts. Like today, Larry is gonna explain what is solidity and what is smart contracts, right? And he will just give you an introduction to Remix IDE. And the next day, there's gonna be a project. We are going to building a project the next day. So tomorrow there will be a project which I will be explaining to you guys, and then the day after that there's again going to be concepts, and then again project. So this is how it's going to proceed. Also, just want to mention that I have created a GitHub repository where you will be able to find all the code of every day, like day 1, day 2, day 3. So all the code will be there. If you guys want to reference that, I will share the link in the pair programming channel for that GitHub repository. Yep.
Yeah, and also the recording links will be in the GitHub repo, and I will pin the GitHub repo will be pinned to the pair programming channel.
Yeah.
yep. So I'll be doing theory, and Sahil will be doing the project. So yeah, I'm doing most of the talking today, going through the theory introduction, right? Um. So yeah. Once again, can everybody see my screen? Just right. Everybody sees our remix right on their screens.
Yes.
Yeah. So
All right, cool.
Yep, Larry.
Um, yeah. So if you can you follow along? Try not to be left behind. All right. So yeah, let's get into remix. All right. So remix is a IDE. This is like the best place to be when you want to very quickly deploy and mess around with smart contracts. This is a very very good place for practicing solidity that every beginner should know of, right? Um, so yeah, this is the landing page. You got file resources, load from just GitHub, IPFS, all of that, right? Um, and yeah, let's mess around with this. All right. Let's see. I know they have like these plugins, right? Cello and debugger. You'll probably run into debugger. There's probably people that use that a lot, right? There's other plugins, a crap load of them, right? But you want to make sure you have these two plugins. These two are a must, right? So Solidity compiler, right? That compiles your code. and you have deploy and run transactions, right? Where you set the environment and yeah, you will see a deploy button here, which we will get into. All right. So you want to hit this button right here, right? And we will, I don't know, call this first contract dot so. All right. So you have this thing called let's see, SPDX, right? So basically SD, yeah, let me let me actually copy it. All right. So you have something like this here, right? Um, this is just for licensing rights, right? Say maybe you have code that is very similar to somebody else's. You want to, follow legalities, and you don't want to like get sued and face copyright issues and all of that, right? Um, and if you don't have this, you will face like a warning. You will see a warning when you compile your Solidity code, right? Um, the next thing you want to do, um, you want to set the compiler version. Um, so the way you do this is pragma. Let's see, pragma solidity. Um, and we'll just type this, right? Um, yeah. So basically, what's happening here? I am setting the Solidity version. If you ever see like really old tutorials of Solidity, say maybe from 2017, 2018 years ago, you'll probably see something like 0.4.2. You want to stay away from that. Solidity blockchain development, it is a very fast pacing thing. Very fast pacing, right? So you want to make sure you're up to date with the syntax and the compiler version. So we'll use this, right? You also, yeah. Let me explain this even further. So this syntax here means that the version is from 0.8.0 and going up. I believe the current Solidity version is 0.8.13. Yeah, but we'll just say this for now. You can also say it like, let's see, greater than equal to 0.4.2, less than 0.9.0, something like that. And this basically means the compiler version will be from here and it will be less than 9.0. Solidity isn't at that compiler version yet, but yeah, that's something that you will probably see. And then another thing too,
Before,
uh, go
sorry.
ahead.
Yeah, so before LJ goes to the actual coding part, actually LJ just mentioned it briefly, but I just want to mention it again. So basically, first of all, you have to know what are smart contracts, right? So smart contracts are just what the name implies. They are kind of like contracts between two parties or many parties, right? As he just said that back in 90s, back in 80s and 90s, when McDonald's promised people they promised people that they have a fair chance of winning $1 million if they buy their products, right? But then after that period was ended, they did not give $1 million to anyone. So it was kind of like a fraud. So they just drained $32 million without like they just it was a fraud, right? They just promised people and they did not keep their promise. But in smart contracts, what we can do is we can trust the code, right? Whatever will be written in the code, we can trust that, right? Now, if we were to code a lottery smart contract in Solidity, which we are going to do, I think it's on day 7, day 6, we are going to code a lottery uh, on the blockchain, right? Now, had they coded that lottery on the blockchain, they would not be able to fool anyone, right? Because will be the code. The code will be out there, and first of all, they would have to put some ether into. They would have to put that million ether into the account. Only then people would believe them that yes, this smart contract has enough balance to pay one person that much money after this period has ended, right? And the people can also verify that code, that yes, this code is picking a winner at random, right? So in that case they would not be able to fool anyone. So this is like that. So the smart contracts are like contracts between different parties or two people or anyone. And we can instead of trusting people, we can trust the code, right? And solidity is a language which is used to write smart contracts. All right. And this is the IDE, this is the online IDE, this is the place where we can write Solidity, right? It's the Remix IDE. And also the thing that LJ is explaining right now, the compiler versions. Actually, the thing is, when we write a smart contract, first of all, we have to compile that smart contract, right? Because the blockchain, the EVM compatible, Ethereum is EVM compatible, right? And EVM does not understand Solidity code, alright. And so for it to understand the Solidity code, we have to compile it down to bytecode, because that is the code which EVM understands. Alright. So what we are doing here is we are specifying the compiler version for Solidity, to compile it down to bytecode so that EVM can understand it and implement it. Okay. And right now the highest compiler version is, I guess, 0.8.13. All right. So here, what we are saying is Pragma Solidity, and that caret sign means that you should pick any version which is higher than 0.8.0. So the latest version is 0.8.13, so it will pick that version. If we omit that caret, that caret you can see before the 0, then it will use the exact same version, okay, 0.8.0. And the previous syntax that LJ just mentioned, LJ, can you just undo that?
Yeah,
The
sure.
range,
Yeah, let me do
version,
that.
yes.
Yeah, so greater than equal to 0 point. Yeah, I'm just do something random. See, less than 0.9.0.
Yeah, so if we write it something like this, so what it will do is it will pick the highest version which is available in this range. So it will pick the highest version which will be available between 4.0 to 0.9.0. So that's what it is saying here. And that license, that in the first line we are specifying that it has an MIT license. So these are the types of licenses. You can read more about them on the internet. MIT license basically means the code which we are writing here, anyone can use, right? Anyone can reproduce it, anyone can use it for commercial use, right? So that's what we are doing there. And LG will explain more of you now. Okay.
All right, cool. So yeah, once again, we're gonna set this back to 0.8.0, I guess, because more pretty or whatnot. All right, so after you set the, the licensing and the compiler version, once again, make sure it's, 0.8.0. You'll see this in modern day Solidity. To start writing the contract itself, you want to basically type in the word contract, right? And you'll see it, you know, turn blue, right? And then you want to give the name of the contract. For this one, we'll just say first contract, like how I, have right here. And then boom, brackets. You just gotta hit left, the left bracket, or I'm sorry, not bracket, curly braces. And boom. All right. So we're going to start with something very basic today. All right. So we'll do a very simple primitive data type here, string. All right. So with Solidity, you have to specify the data type string, um, and we'll give it a name, say I don't know, GM, right? Um, equal to GM. And as you can see here, I am, yeah, I have to put it in quotation marks because, it's string value, right? Um, so if we try to compile this, it will give out an error. Now, once again, Solidity is statically typed. Um, now, if you mess with something with like JavaScript, uh, JavaScript dynamically typed, you can get away with not using semicolons. But with Solidity, because it is statically typed, you have to use semicolon. Uh, yeah. Uh,
Don't worry if you do not understand what data types are right now or what are strings. We are going to have another a dedicated day when we are just going to go through all the data types in Solidity. So for now, he's just introducing us to Solidity, right? The purpose of today is to just give you a brief introduction to Solidity and smart contracts. And we have to use semicolons at the end of every statement in Solidity because it is statically typed. All right, and this is how the compiler looks. You can see on the left side of the screen. On the top, the compiler version is selected, and after that, language is selected to Solidity because there are other languages in which we can write smart contracts. Viper is one of them, but Solidity is the most famous one. All right, and you can also see the compile button. And when we click on this button, our code will be compiled to the bytecode, which EVM can understand. All right, LJ, go ahead.
yeah. Solidity is the most popular language when it comes to smart contracts. If you heard of Solana, they use a language called Rust to build their smart contracts, but it's way much harder. Like Sahil said, Viper. There's also more deprecated languages, Serpent, LLL, something like that. But anyways, now that I added the semicolon, when I compile this again, boom, it gives me a check mark, basically saying that, yeah, I am ready to deploy this contract. All right. Um, trying to remove the highlight, but it don't matter. So once again, this is the Solidity compiler. We're going to go down to the deploy section, right? Um, so currently we have it on the environment of JavaScript. Um, for us to set the different environment, we'll have to do something like injected Web3. We're not going to do that. That's actually injected Web3. That's actually going to interact with the blockchain. Um, but yeah,
So basically, environment means on what kind of blockchain we are going to deploy this smart contract. All right. So uh, comes with the default JavaScript VM. It's like EVM, right? Ethereum runs all the smart contracts on Ethereum virtual machine, but Remix comes with three or four machines, I guess. It comes with JavaScript VM. It comes with JavaScript Berlin or London, I guess, right? So these are what these are. These are just the mimics of the actual EVM. So our smart contract will be deployed to a local blockchain, right? Which is ran by Remix. It is not going to be deployed on the actual blockchain right now, right? Because this is just for testing purposes here. But if we want to deploy it to actual blockchain, to actual main net or to a test net, right? So test nets are just like main nets, except we don't use any real money there. you'll get to know about that. We'll explain that later in detail. But for now, just understand this contact is going to be deployed on. It's not going to be deployed on the actual EVM. It's going to be deployed in JavaScript VM, which is the mimicry of EVM. All right.
Yep. So we're gonna go ahead and deploy this. All right. It instantly deployed. We're using JVM uh, that allows it to deploy instantly. If we were to do something like injected Web3, where we deployed it on the blockchain, it would have actually taken a few minutes, or I wouldn't say a few minutes, but maybe 1 minute or so, right? So if we scroll down, we'll hit this little caret, right? Um, you can also see that the first contract has, they've Remix has given us like a contract address, and uh, I'll just put this in comments, and yeah, boom, you can see here, uh, first contract has an address, just like maybe your address, public address on like MetaMask, right? Or maybe you've went on like a crypto exchange like Binance or Coinbase, right? So as you can see here, right, you could see that you don't see anything, you don't see any buttons or or whatnot. And why is that? Well, basically this variable that we have here, that is a string, you have to set the visibility. We'll get to visibility more in the future, but by default, I will say that this visibility is private. And if the visibility is private, you can't interact with it. So we have to set this to public. All right. And as you can see, it marked green.
I have a question.
Yes.
So basically, this visibility and access modifiers are two same things or two different things in Solidity?
I would say visibility and modifiers are different. A modifier is basically something that you can like put in the func. Uh, so let me do a simple modifier actually. So
No,
modifier.
not this modifier. I was saying access modifiers, private, public, protected. That I was saying that modifier is a different thing in Solidity, right?
Yeah, modifiers and visibilities are two different things. Modifier, that's basically something you put in the function signature where you say you want to not say you want your contract function to not be interactable. Like you can have a modifier where only the owner can interact with that function. Modifiers and visibilities are two different things. Um, Visibility, it sets the it makes it visible to others through certain conditions. Modifiers is something that you can you know add to your function, such as being able to pause the contract, or being able to set the owner of the contract, or saying that only the owner can interact with that function. We'll get into modifiers later on,
Yeah,
but yeah,
I guess
modifiers and
modifiers is a little bit advanced topic, which most people here, like many people here, would be beginners who might not understand what modifiers are. So Talha, I guess we'll be covering modifiers in detail on like day 4 or day 5. So then you will understand it in detail. But right now, I think it's better to not go too deep into modifiers because a lot of people here might be beginners.
Done.
yeah. um so yeah, going forward with this, we've set the variable to public. And now if we compile this again, right, check mark. And just for reference, we'll just do auto compile, meaning I don't have to manually compile this, right? The remix will auto compile when I mess around with the contract. All right. Um, yeah. Boom. I didn't have to hit that. So yeah, if we deploy this again, we hit this caret again. Boom. And as you can see, the uh, the GM button shows up. And if we tap on this, boom, string GM. Um, we'll get more into this later on, but this zero just means it's kind of like an index, right? Um, and also here we have like this. So if you're familiar with like JavaScript, in a way you can think of this as like the console.log. Um, this is basically just like logging out, deployment and function calls, reading and writing to functions, like viewing the value of something, or when you interact. Say you want to like say maybe you interact with the function to like buy ETH or something, right? And then you could also mess around with this caret, and it gives you all these stats. I'm not gonna show all that because that's I don't want to hurt somebody's head. um, and then like here you can see that who who called the function, who wanted to read the data on the contract. And also as you can see here for environment JavaScript, if you tap on this remix, it gives you 10 dummy accounts that you can mess around with. Um, it'll be real nice if you could have that on mainnet, but unfortunately that's not the case. But yeah, you can mess around with 10 dummy contracts. Um, and yeah, another cool thing that you could do with Solidity. Hopefully, I don't hurt nobody's head with this, but the way you can set up multiple contracts in one file is something like this, right? Boom, boom. But I have to give these different names. Yeah, I'm just delete those. Yeah, say I want to change this value, right? Instead of GM, we'll do good morning. And smart contracts, right? When you deploy a smart contract onto the blockchain, it is immutable. So I can't go back to this contract and it outputs good morning, even though I initiated good morning here. So I will have to deploy it again. Let's see, and boom, go back here, and boom. Now it prints out good morning. Um, and then also you can hit this X button if you want to delete smart contracts that you previously deployed on Remix. And yeah, that's basically.
Also,
You can go,
um,
Sahil.
yeah. So I just wanted to mention that Remix give you these 10 dummy accounts for testing purposes, right? The reason is for testing. Now let's take the same example, the example of a lottery. Now let's say you created a lottery smart contract and you want to test your smart contract that it's working fine. It's picking a winner at random. So what you want to do is, now you are not going to invite your like 10 friends, right, to join that lottery and test your smart contract. What you can do is you can go to the accounts tab on the top, as you can see, and you can click on that. LJ, will you click on that account? Uh, yeah, I guess we can see the we can see all the accounts here. but you can see it in your remix. When you click there, there will be 10 accounts in kind of like a drop down. We can't see the drop down here, but you can see we can change those accounts. So what you can do is you can act as different people. You deployed your smart contract, you go to one account, you purchase a lottery ticket, and then you go to another account, you change your account, and then you purchase another ticket, then you change your account, then you purchase another ticket. So essentially you will be behaving like three or four people, and then you will see if one of them gets if one of them will be a winner in the lottery. So you can test your smart contracts with different accounts, right? That's what those accounts are used for. And also, as LJ mentioned, in the console, on the right side in the bottom, as you can see, um, first of all, there are two kinds of functions in Solidity. Um, the ones there are which use gas, right? And the functions which use gas are those which which change something on the blockchain, right? Like, first of all, what is gas? Gas is what, it's some amount of ether, the Ethereum that we have to pay for for that transaction to go through, right? We have to pay that gas so that EVM executes our transaction. All right. So in the case when we want to change something, now let's say I want to change that GM variable uh, to let's say good night. Okay, so I will have to pay gas because that GM because we are changing something on the blockchain, right? That is a, we are changing that variable which was stored on blockchain to another value. So that is the transaction, we have to pay the gas fees, right? And in that case it logs a transaction in the console, as you can see where it is a green tick. And it when you expand that, when you click on that, LJ, can you click on that? So when you click that, it gives you, it also gives you the gas which was used, not this one, the one above. Yeah, the, yes. So it also tells you how much gas was used, okay, and all those different things. Some of them are not even important for us at this moment, but I just wanted to mention that. And then another kinds of functions are uh, where the gas is not used, okay. So in the case when we are just fetching variables from the blockchain, uh, in that case we do not need to pay any gas because we are not changing anything. So that are that are called calls, okay. LJ, can you scroll down? So yeah, uh, in the calls we do not pay any gas, and it also tells us which account called it. Can you just scroll down to the bottom, absolute bottom? Yes, here. Yeah, 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 but just stay there. It also tells you call. Can you go there where it says call? Yeah, so you can see that it says from, and then after from it says it gives us that account from which it was called, and that is the same account which was selected above in that accounts tab when we called this public variable. All right, and that the transaction which used gas was the deployment of a smart contract, because when we deployed our smart contract to the blockchain, it used some gas. So I hope that makes some sense. And don't worry if you don't understand anything today. It's just introduction. We are going to go over all of this again in detail.
I'm not gonna say too much about this. I don't want to, say too much. But yeah. The reason why you use gas on Ethereum or any blockchains, basically you don't, yeah, Ether, Ethereum is used as, the gas, right? You use that to pay gas on the network, and it's basically there so that people won't spam the network and abuse contracts, abuse things that are on the blockchain. So you're not gonna go into more detail about that, but yeah, just know that's why gas is there. Um, yeah. But other than that, um, this is basically all we have for
LJ, I
today.
have a question.
What's that?
No, I have a question. I'm sorry to interrupt. When you deployed the contract with the value GM,
Okay.
even though you changed it to good morning, still the GM was displayed. So does that mean you interacted with the earlier ABI? I mean, the ABI doesn't refresh automatically. We need to deploy it once again to see the value, right?
Yeah,
Am
yeah.
I understanding right?
So yeah, yeah. So the variable name it changed, right? But once again, what I said before, smart contracts are immutable, and yeah, basically, yeah, you're correct. When this was GM, I was looking at the older contract ABI. Um, I know ABI. It might be that might be a term that people don't know. I'm not gonna get into that, but yeah, GM. That was me interacting with an older contract that I deployed, and good morning. This was the newer contract that I deployed because smart contracts are immutable. Once they are there on the blockchain, they can never be changed and stay there forever. Um, so yeah. Um, does anybody else have any more questions? Well, guess not. Um, but yeah, this is all we have here for today. Just wanted to show you guys a simple smart contract. Uh, introductory, get you to get a basic understanding of what Solidity is. High level programming language, statically typed. If you come from JavaScript, syntax is kind of similar to JavaScript. Um, yeah, introduction to Remix. And yeah, and tomorrow, you know, just to give a little sneak peek, you'll be seeing something like int. Let's see, let's type it int uint etc. You'll be seeing that tomorrow. We'll go over other primitive data types and we'll go once again go over string. Um, but yeah, well, I'm sorry, that will be day 3. Tomorrow we will be doing a very simple project on this. So yeah, that's all we really have for today. Um, if you have any more questions, let us know right now, or else we'll end in about 5 minutes. Um, first day, and thank you for those who came, and I hope that we see you tomorrow. So
Yeah.
Hey,
So
bro.
in simple
Yeah.
words,
Go ahead.
Solidity is just a language to write smart contracts. And tomorrow we'll be writing a smart contract where you will be storing a variable on the blockchain, and we will also get that the value of that variable from the blockchain using a function. All right. um, so that is a very simple storage smart contract. Okay. And I think, like, I would suggest you guys to, like, read on a little bit about how blockchain works, because I think it's going to be very helpful if you know that, right? How mining works, how different nodes come to consensus, like a little bit of how blockchain works. I will also try to explain that tomorrow, if we have the time left, and I think we will have time because the project that we are going to make tomorrow is very simple. So yeah, that's what I would suggest you guys to just read a little bit about how blockchain works. That would be very helpful for you. Yep, that's about it for today, and hope you guys enjoyed the session. If anyone has any questions, they can ask here. And yep, Abbas, you were saying something.
yeah, I guess didn't have anything to say. But yeah, once again, thank you guys for
Yeah.
coming, and we'll. Oh, I'm sorry.
Am I audible? My internet again.
Hey Sahil, LJ, you guys are doing great, man. I just dropped here and saw so many people. Congrats on such a banger start of your sessions.
Thank you, Vatsal. Means a lot that you joined the session.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, congrats, congrats. So, are we over for today's session? Sahil,
I'm sorry. What did you say, Vatsal?
is today's session over?
Yeah, I mean it's almost over. It was just introduction to Solidity, and LJ
Yeah,
explained it very well.
I,
So yeah, and we are just here now. We ask the people who joined if they have any questions, they can ask them right now. Yep, that's all for today.
yeah. So, um, I see S3 MNT unmute himself or herself. Do you have something to say?
Hello.
Yeah, also,
Okay.
I mean, everyone who joined, just please let us know if you don't understand anything. Let Vatsal or Yash or Abbas know that you don't understand anything because we are doing these sessions for you. If you don't understand this, then it's not worth it, like doing these sessions. Just let us know if you don't understand anything, right? Because we are doing these sessions for you, and you understanding these sessions is of utmost importance to us. All right. So just give your feedback to either me or LJ or Yash, Vatsal or Abbas. All right. That's what I will say.
Yeah, you can.
Hello.
You
You guys
can.
are doing very well, bro.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Yash.
you. Yeah, I just want to say, the questions that you have, you could put it either like in the Web3 support channel or like here in pair programming. I think
Mm,
those will be most appropriate.
Making making smart contracts in other blockchains like Solana and Bitcoins are same. Are same or like this, or it's different. Like we use other languages or just
Yeah.
Solidity.
So first of all, uh, I would mention that Bitcoin is not programmable. All right. It's just a
Okay.
payment system. We cannot make smart contracts on top of Bitcoin. All right,
Okay.
Ethereum is programmable, it is EVM compatible. All right,
o-
so but if we want to make smart contracts on top of Solana, we have to use Rust. Rust is also a programming language. All right, and you know that Solana is extremely fast. It has a block time of 0.4 seconds, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
it also uses a different consensus mechanism. It uses proof of history. Yeah, so that's a totally different story. And also, like in when we have to build up on Solana, we have to use just a very specific subset of Rust, and like developing on Solana is extremely hard. It's not so easy, just as we are doing here with Solidity, right? And like they achieve that kind of speed by putting all the pressure on developers. So I would suggest if you want to develop on Solana, I mean, just firstly get familiar with what blockchain is, how it works, and maybe even learn to code smart contracts in Solidity. Then you can move to Solana.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
Actually,
welcome.
the developer issues comes in the place where Rust has a very steep learning curve, right? It is really, really hard to learn Rust, especially for beginners, like right. But for Solidity, if you know basic JavaScript, even the syntax of JavaScript, you are much familiar with Solidity already.
Yeah.
Am
yeah,
I right, side?
So starting from here is much easier than in Solana or other blockchains,
Yeah,
right?
Yes.
definitely, definitely. Rust is a
Also,
quite hard.
please.
Yeah, and Rust is a low-level programming language. Rust, C++, C. Those languages are so much harder to learn. I mean, yeah, you gotta really dedicate yourself to those. And going back to Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin. It wasn't made. For the thought of being built on top of it. There's you have protocol like Bitcoin Lightning that tries to help it out, but Bitcoin it is incredibly slow to be building on top of. I know I've been doing crypto for like well over a year, and I've I've transferred like my Bitcoin from maybe I don't know like crypto.com to like Coinbase, and it took like 3 hours. So Bitcoin very slow. It is not feasible at all to try and build on top of it if it's even possible.
Yeah. Um,
I have one more question. Like, is what is like Polygon network? Is it same like Ethereum? Like there we can build also smart contracts or not?
yes. Yes. So on Polygon, you can definitely make smart contracts. It
Okay,
is a layer two. It is a layer two solution which
okay,
scales Ethereum further. So it's like, first of all, Polygon has a block time of 2 seconds, whereas Ethereum has a block time of 15 seconds. So you can already see that Polygon is faster than Ethereum because it's an L2 solution. So what happens in L2 solutions is they work off chain. Like Polygon has its own blockchain and its own consensus mechanism. So once they do all those transactions there, they just put that they I guess they compile it down into a very compact data structure, and then they put it on Ethereum, so that we have a proof that those transactions happened. So what they do is they leverage the security of Ethereum, because then we will have the history that yes, those transactions happened. We will have that history on Ethereum, but actually those transactions happened off Ethereum blockchain. So that's how they achieve that speed. And we'll cover more about L2 solutions. Actually, it's on the LearnWeb3 DAO website. In the junior track, they have explained very well about L2 solutions. I guess, yeah, it's the first level in junior track of LW3. You can read more about it there. Yeah, so there are other kinds of L2 solutions. There are roll-ups and state channels, and there are many different things, and they all utilize different techniques to achieve speed and to achieve speed and security. Right?
okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
And also, I would like to know if there is anyone here who do not have any prior programming experience. Is there anyone like whose first language is Solidity? Okay, I guess all of we we all are programmers here. Oh, that's cool. And also, I can see many familiar faces here. Many of my friends have also joined. I can see Anish, Ankit, Vanshika, and I can see Talha. And yeah, Silent Kid, thank you so much for joining, man. You can see Rahul, Manohar. So yeah, man. Thank you, Brisa. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. Yeah, and it's almost 10. Only 1 minute is Lane is here. Only 1 minute is left. So yep, that's it for today. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We'll see you tomorrow. And thank you, LJ, for the great session. You explained it very well. Hope I can do the same tomorrow.
Yeah, no problem, man. You up next? Yeah.
Yep. Yes. DC is also here.
Okay, guys, you did a great job. Keep it up, man. You are doing really great.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank
see
you.
you tomorrow, bro.
All
Thank you.
right. Thank you, everyone, for joining. See you tomorrow.
All right. See you tomorrow.
And that's it.
Bye, guys. See you tomorrow.